Hello, welcome to episode 5 of the Learn English with News podcast. I'm here with my fantastic co-host, Dan. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Love it.
Yeah.
We've been consistent with one thing, and it's the terrible joke
It's
at the
just it's
beginning.
just a bad joke. Yeah, yeah. Distant.
Love it.
How
Yep.
you been,
Hey,
mate?
mate.
Okay.
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I'm doing all right. How about you?
Yeah, I'm very, very good. Thank you very much. The only thing is still the election people, making lots of noise. But apart from that, everything's great. Yeah. So anyone who's new to this podcast, basically we go through 3 news articles, 2 from international news, 1 from local news to give you a bit of variety. And we go through and find out any key words that people don't understand and we explain them for you. Also, we do a bit of pronunciation practice. There'll be some shadowing included as well and a quiz at the end. Okay. So should we get into the first one?
Let's do it.
Oh, first thing, let's just note there is a PDF in the description with extended articles and lots more definitions explained. Okay, so please pick that up if you want it. Okay, the first one, actually, our 2 international articles are from the same place this time. They're both from India, and they both have kind of interesting topics. So I thought I'd pick them out, and we can go through some vocabulary. The first one is India flight bomb hoaxes. So already we have a nice word in the title.
Yeah.
So let's read through the first paragraph and then we'll go through some words. So here we go. In October 2024, Indian aviation faced an extraordinary surge of bomb hoaxes, with over 170 reported threats disrupting both domestic and international flights over just 9 days. These threats primarily circulated on social media, forced Indian airlines like Air India, Indigo, and SpiceJet to implement emergency protocols, causing delays and significant inconveniences to travelers and airport authorities alike.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah,
All
kind
right.
of interesting. I hadn't heard about this until I did the research for this
I mean,
episode.
either. Yeah.
This is quite an interesting development, I think.
It's quite a lot in 9 days or something. It's quite a lot in it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So obviously there's something going on in there, really. Let's have a look at some key words. First one is aviation.
Oh, okay. So flying, basically. The aviation industry is like planes and airports and that kind of stuff. So operating, flying, something in the sky, aviation.
Exactly that. So quite
Mm,
important word. You'll see this pop up. Anything to do with air travel.
mm.
This word will pop up, so it's worthwhile knowing about this one. Next one is a keyword that's in the title, which is a good one. I love this one. Hoax.
Hoax. I have to try and pronounce the H at the beginning. So hoax,
Not
like a
hoax.
tree. So hoax, like a fake something, like they're trying to deceive somebody, like a false alarm.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like they know it's not true, but they call up and be like, by the way, um, the best example I can give you in school is somebody would always hit the fire alarm when there was no fire,
Yeah.
just to get out of class or whatever. Like a hoax. It's not real. It's fake, but it's designed to look real.
Yeah, exactly. So here it's if we go back to the paragraph, we can see Indian aviation faced an extraordinary surge of bomb hoaxes. Bomb hoax is not good, is it? That's a
No.
real one that's going to terrify many people. Next one you'll see a lot on news is protocol.
Mm. Like an official procedure
Hmm.
or an official set of like instructions or rules. When something happens, you follow this protocol, you do exactly these things. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So
Here in Japan, we have it a lot for earthquakes, earthquake protocol. Like when an earthquake happens, what you're supposed to do and what procedure you're supposed to follow. Yeah, like that.
yeah, or you might have like a what is the protocol for a fire drill or something like this.
Mm,
Do you do in that moment? So yeah, protocol comes up quite a lot.
mm.
And then lastly, in this one, we have authority.
Yeah, authority, people in charge, basically, people who are making the laws or basically the boss is the authority most of the time. Like Stu is the authority on this podcast. He's in charge.
I don't know why I'm the authority of so much, but yeah, maybe.
But yeah, authority, whoever's in charge, organization or person in charge, they enforce whatever rules or laws we're talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Very, very good.
Hmm.
Okay, nice. So let's go through a bit of pronunciation. This week's focus. Last week we did a bit on past tense ed, and we will
Hmm.
continue that in the future. But as we can see from this article, we don't actually have too much of that
Hmm.
because it seems like it's an ongoing problem. This one.
Hmm.
But for the this week, I wanted to look at AU. So the reason why I picked it out is
Um,
because when I was working at an international school, I had to use or had to go uh, work with American pronunciation more so.
Me
And
too.
doing this, the one that I think I didn't know actually was this difference that is
Hmm.
kind of prominent in a lot of words. So this or in British English we tend to say or more. In American it's more like ah. It's a bit different between the two. So I wanted to go through a couple of these because there's two in the first paragraph, and then I wanted to introduce a few other common ones, and then a couple of ones that go against the grain, the ones that
Hmm.
don't follow the rules. As we know in English, 95% of the time it works, but there is quite a big percentage, or in this case, there's a lot more percentage where it doesn't work. So I wanted
I
to,
said 95's generous there.
yeah, for or it's a bit more tricky because there's a lot
Hmm.
of more, maybe French words or things that come in from other languages that affect this one as well. But yeah, let's have a look at this. So the words I picked out are cause, cause. This is in the first bit earlier, the cause of something. Next one is authority, the one we just went over, authority. You might hear authority rather than authority. So it's a bit,
Respect my authority.
yeah, Cartman, cars or cause, for example. One really common one, the one that kind of picked it out for me originally is August, August,
Mm.
August in British English, August, autumn, for example. And then caution goes next to cause, caution. Caution I picked out because of a lot of news articles will have it. And laundry, laundry rather than la.
Mm.
So it's up to you. Either's fine. You
Mm.
also use this style of or as well in the north, yeah, or in
Oh
especially.
yeah, I'm same as you for this one. Cause, authority, August, caution, and laundry.
So this is interesting. So we always
Yeah.
compare between the North and America, and there's a lot of similarities, yeah. But in this
But
case,
this one,
yeah,
solidarity with the South, like.
yeah, it's interesting. Now here's a couple of ones that are common, but don't follow that rule. So
Mm.
sausage. I mean, I don't really know what is going on with this one. Like it's so different, yeah. Oh, sausage.
Sausage.
I
Americans don't say sausage, do they? Probably
So
they do
yeah,
actually.
yeah, it is actually similar to like Argus sausage. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Mm.
pretty sure they're similar. I'm pretty sure they don't use this oh because I remember this was
The
one of
odd,
the other ones.
their odd doesn't really exist in their
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
English though. Like, sock or anything like that. It's
Mm,
bat, sack, that
yeah.
ah.
It's a slight difference, isn't there? So
Mm.
yeah, for this one, sausage. Yeah, you want. I don't know if there'll be many AU spellings with oh pronunciation
Probably not.
in you. And then another very common one is aunt. So
Mm.
aunt is obviously a very important one in American. Aunt is actually very different AU as well there. So
Mm.
that's interesting.
And then for me, because I'm in the north, it's ant, like the little bug.
Yeah, so yours is more like American in that case then, yeah?
It's closer to
Yeah.
ah than ah for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Ant.
it's
Yeah.
another interesting difference there. So that's a small pronunciation lesson for this one. But all as always, or as will be always, this is just a but look out for those or words in the second article we do. See, have a practice, see
Mm.
if you can find those and pick them out, and then we'll go through them as well. Second paragraph, though. Let's go through this. So, the security alerts led to diversions of several flights. For instance, an Air India flight from Delhi to Chicago was rerouted to northern Canada, where the plane and its 211 passengers underwent hours of security screening due to limited airport resources. Similarly, an Air India flight from Mumbai to London faced interception by the Royal Air Force following a bomb threat, which led it to fly in a holding pattern for an extended time before landing in the UK. Six flights even declared emergencies within a 30-minute window, transmitting the general emergency code 7700 on October the 21st due to bomb threats posted on the social media platform X, formerly known as
Yeah.
Twitter, as it likes to be, just like Prince, yeah.
The artist formerly known as Twitter.
Okay. So a very, very interesting situation. So
Yeah,
first
scary
one,
stuff, isn't it?
yeah, it is proper crazy. But I
Mm.
guess this is what happens with social media these days. There's so much things we never thought about.
Yeah.
Now it does.
Mm.
That's a challenge.
Especially Twitter, because the anonymous nature you can really make out of Twitter makes it, it's anonymous straight to public. It's
Yeah,
anybody can say anything.
yeah, exactly. Well, but there's free speech, so it's kind of a juxtaposing position, I
It's
guess.
the same coin, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like two sides to the same coin.
Okay, first word, diversion.
So diversion or diversion, depending on which way you want to say it. To reroute, change the direction that you go in. Like, if you're driving on the road and the road's closed for roadworks, you're gonna have to take a different route and you're gonna have to follow a diversion.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So diversion's useful. You might see it on signs if you're in the UK or
Mm,
in America, or if you're living in an English-speaking country.
yeah.
So watch out for that one. It's an important one, especially if you're a driver. Uh,
Mm.
screen. Well, I should say to screen rather than
Yeah,
just.
as a verb. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nothing to do with like your phone screen or your computer screen or whatever. To screen somebody is to examine them, like check them. When you go through the airport, you've got the detectors and you walk through.
Mm.
They're screening you, basically. They're checking, usually for safety reasons, you screen something. Yeah. Or when you apply for a job, maybe the company screens the candidates.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
example where it's used slightly differently. But yeah, you're completely right. But it's still a safety check in essence, isn't it?
Yeah, this is safety for the company rather than physical health.
Yeah. Okay, this one's very specific to travel, but holding pattern.
Yeah, so I guess this would be like flying a certain repeatable route over and over again while you're waiting for the next thing. Like if you're coming into an airport and you're not able to land for whatever reason, they kind of do a loop and come back
Yeah.
round, and then they'll keep doing that loop until they get cleared to eventually land. Yeah.
Yeah. They're looking to make sure they don't cross paths with another airplane.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, that happens quite a lot. I don't know how much people travel, but whenever I go back
mm,
to England, there's often this holding pattern they do. You may be in the air for like 20 minutes or something whilst they're
mm,
waiting for appropriate space. So
mm.
yeah. And last one is transmit.
Yeah, it's like a fancy word for send, basically.
Mhm.
You can transmit you can't say a tweet anymore, can you? Is it? This is off
I don't know
topic, but
what
what do you call it? Do you X? Is X a verb now? Like, cause it used to be tweet. You tweet
it would be
something
tweet.
on Twitter,
Yeah,
but
I
you don't
guess it's
X
just
something on X, do you? Post. So yeah, fair enough. So transmit is a fancy way of send or communicate information, basically.
sure. Yeah, definitely so. But even this is one version of the verb transmit, but also we can transmit
Hmm.
infections and things like
Oh
this.
yeah. I
So
guess it's a way of distributing something,
yeah,
information, disease,
yeah. In this case,
whatever.
it's specific to the definition I've got is specific to the article we're going through. But
Mm,
yeah, basically transmit is to distribute something in essence, isn't it?
Which is interesting about vocabulary anyway, because like there's quite a lot of these things that if you take them out of this context, they could have a different meaning. For example, screen. Exactly. Like, if you take this word and take it out of context, it could mean a screen on your computer. But this is why context is so important to understanding the nuance of the vocabulary that you're learning.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I 100% agree. I mean, it's sometimes when we're listening, and I do it in Japanese, even though I know it's better to not do this, but sometimes we hear a word and then we're trying to figure out the word so much we lose the rest of the
Oh,
conversation.
do it all the time. Yeah.
And it's better just to work out the word from the context and then come back to
Mm,
it later if you're going to come back to
mm,
it. Because things that are important will stick out to you anyway. You will remember after the conversation certain things. You won't remember everything, but
mm,
you'll remember certain things that you pick up. So it's worth just continuing through rather than stopping. And unless you've got a pause, but
mm,
if it's in a conversation with someone, yeah, it's worth learning from the context more so than the exact thing at that time.
mm. Agreed.
Okay,
Agreed.
let's do some shadowing then. So I'll
Right.
go
And
through.
then any vocabulary from this second part? Not pronunciation,
Oh,
sorry.
pronunciation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
will.
good job at me, mate. Just
I'll learn.
saying.
I will learn the protocol eventually. So, um,
Come
blimey.
on, mate. You're the authority here. Hurry up. You
Yeah,
silly sausage.
you see. Oh, here we go. There we go. Fantastic job. What a diversion. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Some tricky words in these two paragraphs I picked out. Bomb. Bomb. Because the B, just ignore it. Bomb.
Which one? The one at the beginning?
Yeah, Both, both.
Oh, sounds very
Yeah,
zen.
yeah.
The
No,
the
the
second
second
B,
one.
we should clarify.
To clarify, specifically MB. Usually we don't say the B. I say usually because I want to protect myself as much as possible. Okay, and then hoaxes. Hoaxes is the next one. Threat. This THR is tricky for many people. Threat. It's just a practice. You just need to practice that moving your tongue position.
Mm,
That's all it is. It's a reflex thing you have to get used to. Threat. Next one, circulate, specifically the U in the middle, circulate. And I picked the last two because of actually you pointed it out without meaning to, but the American and British or maybe Northern and
mm,
Southern differences, which we're going to find out right now. So we've got diversions. For me, diversions. You said diversions.
I was just being like, oh, there's another version, diversion,
Diversion as
but
well. Yeah.
diversion for me. Yeah,
Yep. And same with reroute or reroute.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Route is
you
more
just
the
go
American.
route.
No, route. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. I like for me, it's case by case. Sometimes it's same as you, and sometimes it's like more Americanized. So
I
yeah.
wonder, it must be when the vocabulary come into play, I guess, can be the only
Mm,
reason. So there's going to be a lot of words that have moved across, and then the standardization of English happened after that process.
mm,
So, or depending who went across, when the original group went across, they're all from Plymouth, basically,
mm,
Plymouth and Cornwall. So they have similarities to Northern English
mm,
we've talked about.
mm,
Not so much from where the government was based, which would have been close to London.
mm,
So yeah, it's interesting.
mm. But yeah, reroute and diversion if you're American, I suppose.
Yeah, but worth knowing. Just
Mm.
so, yeah, just so.
Both are acceptable, by the way.
100%. Yeah, 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 definitely so.
Mm,
Okay, let's do some shadowing. So we're going to go all the way through. First Southern accent, second Northern accent, so you get used to
mm,
both. Or you can practice along with both if you like. So here we go. In October 2024, Indian aviation faced an extraordinary surge of bomb hoaxes, with over 170 reported threats disrupting both domestic and international flights over just 9 days. These threats primarily circulated on social media, forced Indian airlines like Air India, Indigo, and SpiceJet to implement emergency protocols, causing delays and significant inconveniences to travelers and airport authorities alike. The security alerts led to diversions of several flights. For instance, an Air India flight from Delhi to Chicago was rerouted to northern Canada, where the plane and its 211 passengers underwent hours of security screening due to limited airport resources. Similarly, an Air India flight from Mumbai to London faced interception by the Royal Air Force following a bomb threat, which led it to fly in a holding pattern for an extended time before landing in the UK. 6 flights even declared emergencies within a 30-minute window, transmitting the general emergency code 7700 on October 21st due to bomb threats posted on the social media platform X.
good job,
Okay.
mate. Very nice.
And now it's all up to you. Let's see.
Mm.
Where do we
So
go?
let me get my lips around this. In October 2024, Indian aviation faced an extraordinary surge of bomb hoaxes, with over 170 reported threats disrupting both domestic and international flights over just 9 days. These threats, primarily circulated on social media, forced Indian airlines like Air India, Indigo, and SpiceJet to implement emergency protocols, causing delays and significant inconveniences to travelers and airport authorities alike. The security alerts led to diversions of several flights. For instance, an Air India flight from Delhi to Chicago was rerouted to northern Canada, where the plane and its 211 passengers underwent hours of security screening due to limited airport resources. Similarly, that's hard to say. Similarly, an Air India flight from Mumbai to London faced interception by the Royal Air Force following a bomb threat, which led it to fly in a holding pattern for an extended time before landing in the UK. 6 flights even declared emergencies within a 30-minute window, transmitting the general emergency code 7700 on October 21st due to bomb threats posted on the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah. Okay, nice. So we kind of had a little talk about it in the middle, but do you think the social media causes these big issues now, and how can it be resolved?
I mean, it used to happen before. People would just phone up police and be like, by the way, there's a bomb in this bin or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I remember growing up, you'd see that stuff every now and then in England, like there'd be a bomb threat or whatever. Even my school, I remember somebody called up school and like, there's a bomb in gym or whatever. And it, like nobody went to school that day. Obviously, somebody didn't want to go to school and called up. But it was much easier back in the day. You just go to like a phone box, hide your number, call in. Like you could easily. I feel like I'm incriminating myself there, but you know what I mean.
You.
But now, no, I'm saying like he seems to know a lot about how it works. But it's one of them things that like social media is just like sped up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like it's so much easier to do it now than it was before. And I think some people just want to cause chaos, and that's what it comes down to, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, there are a lot of troublemakers in the world. So it's it's a definitely a dodgy situation. It's something we don't want to be going too deep into, I think, if possible. How I mean, it's better that they do check everything, but
I mean, you've
it's
got
cost
to,
a
haven't
lot
you?
of
Like,
time, resources and stuff, doesn't it? So
mm,
yeah, it's good that they do check, and especially with this case, we obviously don't want any issues with the airplanes. Maybe it was a disgruntled employee.
that's the thing. It's obviously some. It's not just like an accident that 170 got reported in 9 days. It's obviously some kind of group or some people working together in a coordinated like attack, basically.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So
quite
it's a bit
crazy.
mad. On a
Even the cool.
sorry, go on.
Please, please, please.
I was just gonna say on a slightly different note, slightly light-hearted note. I love the fact that one of India's airlines is called SpiceJet.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I quite enjoyed that when I read it the first time. I'm like, oh, that's a great name for an Indian airline.
That's a
Love
really
it.
good one. Very,
Do you
very.
think it was like used to be the Spice Girls private jet and it got like bought over like when they didn't need it anymore?
Yeah,
That's what I like to imagine. So
well, it's the land of the spices, isn't it? India.
yeah,
So
makes sense. I mean, it's kind of like tying into your your image to the world. What do you think the British equivalent would be? Like
TJ,
bland jet or like
bad food jet.
vinegar jet, I suppose is the best we've got.
Yeah, there isn't much alcoholism jet. Maybe.
Binge drinking jet.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I quite enjoyed that just out of interest. So
Yeah,
thought it
yeah,
was quite
yeah.
funny.
The spice jet. It did make me laugh as well when I saw it because I think it's great. It's
Mm.
I love that kind of thing when people do something very more specific to the place. I don't think in Japan we have like none of the airline companies do anything like that. They take it.
No, they all call it Japan Airlines or something
uh,
boring.
it's not too
But this goes like similar thing. It's completely off topic, but like in England, where there's like a competition every year, like who's got the most entertaining company name.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, and it's always like there's like a chip shop called like the Codfather, and like all these like there's always like a pun based like only
Yeah, I
fools and
love that.
horses and
We're
that kind of stuff.
we are very good at that, naming things
Yeah.
puns in the UK.
So that maybe is worth a topic in a future episode, like best named businesses in the UK, because there's some absolute belters.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
so. 100%. That's
So
interesting. I didn't know
anyway,
this. Okay, let's go to Article 2 again. We are still in India for this one, but a slightly different topic. Delhi's
mm,
air quality crisis.
um,
So, through the first paragraph, here we go. Delhi's air quality crisis has reached concerning levels, with pollution in the very poor category for several days, driven largely by stubble burning in nearby states and calm weather conditions trapping pollutants. The Air Quality Index, AQI, has remained high, prompting authorities to implement Stage 2 of the Graded Response Action Plan, GRAP, since October 22nd, 2024, which introduces stringent restrictions on construction activities, diesel generator usage, and open burning within Delhi NCR. Authorities are also conducting mechanical road sweeping, water sprinkling on roads, and enforcing dust control measures at construction sites to reduce particulate matter in the air. Particulate, is that correct?
mm, articulate, as in related to particles, I
Yeah,
suppose.
well, definitely. Yeah, I should have checked before, but I was in a bit of a rush. But I was looking at this particulate or particulate.
Naturally, my instinct said particulate, but I could understand if it was particulate. So
We probably would eventually break it down to that if it was a common enough word, but it's just not common, is
I'm
it?
going to say I don't think I've ever actually come across that word outside of a chemistry textbook or something.
Particulate.
Articulate. Yeah.
Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah, it's good to know that it's two where the confusion might come in. Even for us,
Hmm,
we also for these lesser used words, we do double check. So it's good to double
hmm.
check. So yeah, interesting topic. Stubble burning. What are they doing to
Stubble
people?
burning.
What are they doing to people's beards?
In it, like how many people's beards are they burning here? So,
Yeah,
I guess stubble. I mean, I don't know, but I would imagine it's some kind of crop or plant or some waste material of some kind. In Japan, when they've grown the rice, they have to like chop all the stuff down and they burn it in the rice fields, right? So, I guess it's that concept, to be
yes,
honest.
yes, perfectly right. Yeah, it's about burning the crop residue to clear the
Mm.
efficiently. So they obviously want to make it clear so they can do it for the next season. So it's completely understandable. The kind of small joke we had at the start of this stubble in is also referring to a beard that's very not Dan's style, but
Not
maybe
mine.
mine is more well, even mine's
But I
not.
do get stubble here, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like
Super low grade of beard.
like a very short beard. Like if you
Okay.
shave, after a few hours, you start to get a bit of stubble where it's growing back through. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Or Desperate Dan, immediately a beard again.
Yeah, exactly. What a cut. Was that Bean? No, it was Dandy, wasn't it?
Andy,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
sometimes there's these like small private jokes, and I want to bring them in because people are so obsessed with understanding everything, but sometimes
Hmm.
there's small things that have no context to anyone else.
Unless you grew up in
Yeah.
England in the 80s and 90s, you're not going to know what we're talking about.
Exactly. So sometimes you just have to push past those things. I'll give you the context though. The
Hmm.
Dandy and the Beano, they were two of the biggest comics in the UK. We didn't have many, but
Hmm.
there's maybe 5 or 6 big names that we
Hmm.
had. And these days they're not so frequent. They are
Do they
still
even exist? Like I
Beano
was going to
still
ask.
yeah, Beano does, but
Uh,
yeah, but a lot of them like gradually died out. So yeah,
but
he was just a big character from our childhood.
yeah.
So,
And he ate cow pies for some reason. He was mad for cow pies, from what I
yeah,
remember.
beef, I guess. Super strong guy, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a cowboy. But the thing I should say is like I don't want you guys to listen to this and be like it's like Marvel. No, it weren't like Marvel.
No.
They were like really silly, more like Tom and Jerry style,
Yeah.
but in a comic book, like silly humor.
Yeah.
So,
Marvel
but if you grew up,
a range of people, can it? Age range, a larger
this is
age.
just for kids.
Just for
Like,
kids, yeah.
once you got to like 10, 11 years old, you weren't really reading Beano very much anymore.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
definitely not like animation either. Animation,
No.
it's cartoon, but it's It's
a
really
different
a
thing.
variety of ages, but this is usually just made for kids. Yeah.
But then when you graduated from Beano and Dandy, you went to the Viz,
Graduate.
which was
Yeah.
the adult version. It's still very juvenile, and you can still be able to buy it in the UK these days, but very juvenile comic book that is still very funny.
Yeah. There we go. So, bit of culture for you there today. So, double burning.
Culture.
A prompt. I'll prompt you next one.
Good one. So you like push me in the direction of doing something. Like you're trying to get me to do something. To prompt somebody is you're trying to get them to do something, respond to you in some way. For example, in an exam, speaking exam, maybe they'll give you a prompt, like tell me a story about your childhood, and they're prompting you to tell them that story. So they're trying to get you to do something.
100%. For example, in this, let's go back to the paragraph. The air quality index has remained high, prompting authorities to implement stage 2 of the GRAP, Graded Response Action Plan. So that it made the government go to the next stage of trying to sort the problem out, basically. It rushed them forward. Stringent.
Good word. Very news word. Like you're not really going to hear it outside of maybe business and news, but it means very severe, very strong, very strict, like, very serious almost.
Yeah.
And usually it's like stringent, protocol, I guess, it's going to go similar with that word. Like it's a very strict set of rules or very strict instruction that you need to follow.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Stringent instructions is a great example. Yeah, 100%. Something you must do rather than a maybe kind of thing. Yeah. Strict to me kind of also suggests some kind of feeling involved in it. Like the person was strict if we're describing a person, but stringent is more like must follow. I think you must.
Yeah, there's no emotion involved in that.
No. But yeah, like you say, it's used in a lot of news. Sure. And enforce. This is one you definitely hear in the news if you ever watch it.
Yeah. So to enforce a rule or a law is to make sure people follow it. So, for example, the police are there to enforce the law, like Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Again, another nonsensical thing for most people, I think. But yeah, Judge Dredd.
The law. I recently watched it, like about a year ago. Watched it. The Sylvester Stallone film. Classic.
Yeah. Make sure you go and watch that, guys. Yeah?
That's your homework.
Essential homework. Okay, so let's go straight on to the next one. We will come back to do some pronunciation at the end for this one. So, second paragraph. Delhi's government has launched public campaigns encouraging residents to reduce personal vehicle use, and the city has expanded public transportation options. Notably, authorities have urged residents to be cautious and avoid outdoor activities, as well as to consider wearing masks to mitigate health risks due to the high pollution levels. Environmental forecasts suggest that air quality may continue to deteriorate as the winter season approaches, which could lead to the activation of GRAP's Stage 3, further increasing restrictions to protect public health. Again, we're coming back to this thing that we talked about several episodes ago, and it's come up a few times. I paused in front of the GRAP to decide whether should I use GRAP or GRAP. Now, GRAP is not something I've ever heard of before, but the only reason why I used the word is because we had the word grapple, like last week we talked about. So there is a word there that you can base it on. So it's kind of a decision I made in the moment to change it to GRAPS instead of saying GRAP. Either's fine, but it just shows the evolution we do in English quite a lot of the time. It's like a personal change that we do. Yeah.
Sure. And I think like when it instantly looks like another word, we tend to do it. But then earlier on, you've got air quality index. There's no words that like Aki.
Yeah.
So that's much less likely to be as a word.
Pretty much going to be.
But, grap looks like a word, right? So, okay, I can get away with that one.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
good.
Just for anyone listening in, GRAP is the graded response action plan. Okay.
Hmm.
So great. Let's look at some definitions. First one I picked is because it's used a lot, campaign, especially this
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
election season. Yeah?
So a planned set of something, activities or something. Like you've got a goal
Hmm.
to achieve, like get elected as president,
Mm-hmm.
and you do a bunch of stuff to try and make that happen. So a
Yeah.
campaign. And you'll often hear this with like advertising campaign or political campaign. And it's like what they're doing to achieve. They got like a company's got some sales targets. So they'll have an advertising campaign. There's a bunch of different adverts designed to help them reach that target.
Spot on. That's pretty much it.
Hmm.
So yeah, campaign. Like I said, you're going to hear about it a lot. And in this case, the government launched public campaigns encouraging residents to reduce personal vehicle use, for example, this
Hmm.
article. So yeah, there we go. Notably,
Yeah, so it's worth making a note of it. It's
essentially,
notable, so it's important, it's significant. Like if you're in a class and the teacher says something, um, maybe it's something worth noting down. It's notable. It's notable. So notably is the adverb, I would imagine.
yes, yeah, nice. Mitigate.
Ah, interesting. To kind of prevent or reduce the effect of something. So if something's bad, we try and mitigate it and make it not so bad. For example, wearing a mask outside if the pollution's high, you know.
Yeah, yep, exactly that. So in this article, we're saying they said um, that they should consider wearing masks to mitigate health risks. So it would have been something
Hmm.
would have heard 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, like pandemic times.
Now, obviously, in certain countries, there's a lot of backlash to mask wearing.
Oh, in
Uh,
England, from what I saw, people really didn't like it.
England,
Like,
America. I think a lot of countries because they're just not used to it. Whereas in Japan,
hmm.
though, just for a bit of
It was just normal, wasn't it? Like
context, yeah,
everybody did that anyway.
people wear masks here. They don't want
Hmm.
to spread illness or they don't want to get sick. People don't want to be off work. And whilst
Hmm.
I'm sure there are studies saying that masks have no effect on anything,
Hmm.
in Japan, we see that it does work for a lot of people.
Hmm.
So it's interesting.
It is interesting, and it's like when I first came here, I assumed, like before, because I didn't really know much about Japan.
You assumed
I
everyone had
assumed,
a
yeah, and
tank.
I assumed that Japanese people wear masks because of air pollution, because you'd see it in like China and stuff. So I just assumed it was that, but actually, it's because of they're sick and they don't want to spread it, or they don't want to get sick, or as some of my female friends told me, is they just can't be bothered to do the makeup on the bottom half of their face.
Well, that's an interesting one because I know how important it's seen as you don't care about the other people for females if they don't wear makeup in Japan.
Mm,
To be honest, in my opinion, a terrible concept.
it's
But
insane.
because obviously in the West, people go to the shop in their pajamas.
Mm,
I think like we're too far on the other end of the scale.
mm.
But it does feel like there's a lot less freedom in that regard for women here. Yeah,
Well, the thing is, in Japan, it's like such a collective society that like you follow the group, and if everyone's wearing makeup, then you're wearing makeup.
yeah.
So
But it's not a criticism, by the way. It's just a different
just
point of view, a
observation.
different
Yeah.
way. So yeah, it's interesting. Deteriorate.
To get worse over time. It's not like going from 100% to 0%.
Mm.
It's doing that like 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, and slowly getting worse over time. For example, if you leave your bike out in the rain, it's going to deteriorate over a few months.
Yeah, it will rust up. Yeah,
Exactly. Like your English if you don't use it.
exactly. A lot of people who move back from native English speaking countries find their English deteriorates over
Mm.
the coming months. The months that follow. So
Mm.
yeah, that's a nice
Good
example.
stuff.
So pronunciation wise, did you spot the three words with "or" in these two paragraphs? We had authority, again, it popped up, launch to start something up, and
Mm.
cautious.
Mm.
And in terms of words for pronunciation from these ones, I picked out category. I picked this one out because of the ending. So this happens quite
Mm.
a lot in English. We Towards the end of words, you'll find that vowel sounds seem to really weaken a lot. And this "gree," for example, the O is nowhere to be seen. So
Yeah.
category, yeah. Pollutant, pollutant. Yeah, this U sound, you can hear a difference compared to the one we looked at earlier, which was circulate. Instead of that U coming in, we have oo, so pollutant. This next one, stringent, specifically the G. You also hear a weakening of the vowel sound at the end, gent instead of gent or gent. Some people use a hard G, shouldn't be a hard G. Particulate. Particulate, we got a Q in there again. Campaign, for the pure reason that so many unused letters at the end.
It's not Campagan.
Yeah.
Always reminds me of Futurama with Zach Brannigan. He's like, you want the rest of the champagne? It's pronounced champagne. Like, oh, God.
Yeah, exactly. Next one, forecast. Again, another week. There's no sound in the middle there. There's no need for that E to be there. And that's it. I'm pretty sure that it's an incorrect. Okay, let's go to the shadowing part of this then. So we're going to fire through. Once Southern accent, once Northern accent. Here we go. Delhi's air quality crisis has reached concerning levels with pollution in the very poor category for several days, driven largely by stubble burning in nearby states and calm weather conditions trapping pollutants. The Air Quality Index, AQI, has remained high, prompting authorities to implement Stage 2 of the Graded Response Action Plan, GRAP, since October 22nd, 2024, which introduces stringent restrictions on construction activities, diesel generator usage, and open burning within Delhi NCR. Authorities are also conducting mechanical road sweeping, water sprinkling on roads, and enforcing dust control measures at construction sites to reduce particulate matter in the air. Delhi's government has launched public campaigns encouraging residents to reduce personal vehicle use, and the city has expanded public transportation options. Notably, authorities have urged residents to be cautious and avoid outdoor activities, as well as to consider wearing masks to mitigate health risks due to the high pollution levels. Environmental forecasts suggest that air quality may continue to deteriorate as the winter season approaches, which could lead to the activation of GRAP's Stage 3, further increasing restrictions to protect public health. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, nice. Right then. So Delhi's air quality crisis has reached concerning levels, with pollution in the very poor category for several days, driven largely by stubble burning in nearby states and calm weather conditions trapping pollutants. The Air Quality Index, the AQI, has remained high, prompting authorities to implement Stage 2 of the Graded Response Action Plan, GRAP, since October 22nd, 2024, which introduces stringent restrictions on construction activities, diesel generator usage, and open burning within Delhi NCR. Authorities are also conducting mechanical road sweeping, water sprinkling on roads, and enforcing dust control measures at construction sites to reduce particulate matter in the air. Delhi's government has launched public campaigns encouraging residents to reduce personal vehicle use, and the city has expanded public transportation options. Notably, authorities have urged residents to be cautious and avoid outdoor activities, as well as to consider wearing masks to mitigate health risks due to the high pollution levels. Environmental forecasts suggest that air quality may continue to deteriorate as the winter season approaches, which could lead to the activation of GRAP's Stage 3, further increasing restrictions to protect public health. I've had a bit of a mare today. I don't think I've got through one all the way through yet.
I think that is an interesting thing, because many learners also do that, where they add words where they think it should be. And we do the same thing. It's a very normal thing that everyone does. If you practice a lot, you have like your brain has an automatic way of thinking this should be the structure coming up. There's a bit of, when you have automation, there's a bit of assumption, I think. This will be the thing that will happen. For example, if you're playing football and you know a certain skill, you have a presumption on the result. So regardless of that, you'll still go through the thing, and then something may change. And similarly,
it's like automatic, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of using autopilot a little bit when we're reading through things. So
especially reading out loud, because it's a difficult skill to do, even in native speakers. I mean, we do it a lot, and it's still not easy for us. So
100%. Just one small thing I wanted to go back to is the date on this. So a lot of students may not realize, but definitely in British English, I'm not sure about American so much, but we say, even though there is no ND at the end of 22nd, we still pronounce it. So there's certain things in English where we do that. We'll try and point them out to you as they come up. For example,
October
here,
22nd, yeah.
22nd. I think in the first article also, October 21st. So we're still pronouncing it, even though it's not there. Okay, so just
we're always gonna, when it's a date, we're always gonna default to like ordinal numbers rather than traditional. But Americans might say October 22. I think I've heard stuff like that.
Exactly. So that's why I was. I'm not sure about America, but definitely in British English we do pronounce the number in its other form. Okay, the last article. So
I haven't seen this yet, so I'm interested.
We went to Wales. We went to Devon. We went to Yorkshire. We went to near London, Essex. This time we've gone to Scotland. Okay. So I haven't picked this out just because it's from Scotland. Okay. I don't want people to think that this is a stereotype of Scottish people, although in England we might think this at times. But that isn't the reason. This one is from the Rossshire Journal, up in Scotland, the far northern area of Scotland. And the title is 5 times drink driver avoids jail despite record. Okay. The interesting thing with titles also, sometimes they omit things. Sometimes they omit things like smaller words to make the title shorter. So here, 5 times drink driver avoids jail despite his record, probably but just despite record.
We will take small words out, especially like and the, those kind of things often disappear.
Yeah, so it's just something to watch out for because you're trying to make it short, snappy. Titles meant to grab eyes. So people are just concentrating on the key words. That's why they drop those. Okay, so interesting title. Let's get into this one. A 60-year-old Wester Ross man who had 4 drink driving convictions was spared a jail sentence after running up his 5th offence. In July, Paul Lewis of Martincroft Lade was given a restriction of liberty order as an alternative to custody, whereby he must wear an electronic tag and remain at home between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. for the next 4 months. Sheriff David Harvey also disqualified him from driving for 4 years at Inverness Sheriff Court after Lewis admitted driving near Gairloch on the A832 on July 8th, 2023 with excessive alcohol. His reading was 67 mcg when the maximum is 22 mcg of alcohol in breath. Lewis appeared again, but on this occasion before a different sheriff who had called for a background report after Lewis pleaded guilty on September 17th to driving near his home on May 18th, 2024, with 58 mcg of alcohol in his system. Fiscal deputy.
That's a weird word. I don't know that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. We'll learn something new with you guys here. Fiscal depute, I'm going to say, and we'll check it later. Emily Hood told the court that police stopped Lewis on the A32 between Gairloch and Braymore Junction about 7 p.m. due to concerns over his driving. Defense solicitor advocate Claire Russell had asked the sheriff not to jail his client, although she conceded that given his record, custody should be considered. A combination of his poor health and the loss of his job has contributed to a significant drink problem, she said. He had been drinking 4 bottles of vodka a week, but he has reduced his intake and changed his view on his drinking. Okay, interesting.
Jesus.
Yeah, interesting.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I hadn't seen this article before today, but all right.
I mean, it's not uncommon, though, would you say?
I mean, it's not uncommon, but also it's unforgivable, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I've got strong opinions about drink driving in general, to be honest.
What's your strong opinion?
Well, it's like
Depute.
Okay.
I don't even know what it is.
No, apparently to ask somebody to speak on your behalf, I had to look it up.
Like an advocate?
Kind of, yeah. So anyway, I don't know, like if you're getting in the car after you drunk a bottle of vodka, you've got zero respect for anyone else on the road and you don't give a toss about if you're hurting anybody. So you don't deserve to be able to drive.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you've done it 5 times, like you're obviously not learning a lesson.
I
So,
don't think that's a strong view. I think that's a logical view. Like
so
it's ridiculous. He's triple. He's
mm.
over triple one occasion, and it's not his only time. And I know
And
people
does he
have
think the laws don't apply to him? Is he
oh,
better than the laws
I
or
get,
what?
I understand people have problems in their life, and
Mm.
maybe he doesn't want to be around. That might be the reason why he was doing it, to be
Mm.
honest. But it shouldn't disregard the fact that he's putting other people at risk.
Exactly.
I think if he was in the middle of London, he would have had a much harsher sentencing
I
because
think
there's
he's probably in the middle of
so
the
much higher.
Highlands or whatever.
It's in the middle of nowhere, so it's not affecting anyone. And I don't think that should be the logic to it, because you could do
should be one set of rules for everyone.
you could be doing the same thing in a much more built up area, and then it's going to cause a lot of problems. Yeah. So no, I'm in complete agreement with you. You know, you could be a kid just running across the road, and you could end their
Yeah,
life with police.
exactly. Do you know what one of the most shocking things about this is, though? The fact that they have sheriffs in Scotland.
I know, and I was shocked about that.
When I saw the word sheriff, I'm like, hang on.
No, the most shocking thing is that he drunk drove, of course.
Yeah.
But that was a surprise to me as well. And I was like, what is that? I had to double check. Did I get a newspaper from like,
It's like what, from a Clint Eastwood film or what? Like
I suddenly jumped into a West. I was waiting.
It's like when I saw the word sheriff, I'm like, hang on. What's going on here?
Matter, the sheriff and the man had a duel.
Exactly. 10 steps.
So that's why, yeah, I know. I thought exactly the same thing. I was shocked, but I don't, so many questions.
So,
why?
Yeah, that was one of the things that when you were reading, I was like, hang on.
Yeah.
But interesting. But it looks like they just slapped a tag on him and like stay at home overnight. Like, I mean, there's lenient and then there's lenient. You know what I mean?
Basically, it's weird to hear of a 60-year-old man with an electric tag, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
I think I like the fact at the end is like, oh, he had been drinking 4 bottles of vodka a week, but he's reduced it to 3, to 3, and he's changed his view on drinking. Oh,
he's
that's nice.
His view after the 5th attempt.
I'd put money on it. There's going to be a 6th. Like,
and look, 4 drinking convictions drink driving convictions that they found him.
Yeah. Like how many hundreds of times has he done it and not got caught? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, before we get too angry about this, let's look at the definitions. Conviction.
So conviction, you're found guilty of committing a crime, and the court says you're guilty, and you're convicted. You're a convict now.
Okay. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, spot on. And run up. This is a nice phrasal verb.
Yeah, it's usually you hear it with debts, right? Somebody runs up a bunch of debts and then decides not to pay them, like run up your credit card bills or whatever. So I guess it's to like increase or accumulate or grow something.
Yeah, another would be build up, wouldn't it? Build up debt.
Yeah. But specifically with debt, we tend to use the word run up because you run up your credit card. But I don't know why we use the word run specifically for that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting phrasal verb. Liberty.
A big statue in America, isn't it? To be free.
Yeah, that's why it's there.
Freedom.
That's the point of it. It's trying to say that we are the land of the free, in essence. Yeah. So, yeah, liberty is the state of being free, having freedom. Custody. Custody is a useful one. There's a couple.
Yeah, because there's a couple of meanings. In this case, like if you're taken into custody by the police, you get arrested and you're put in jail.
Yeah.
So I guess custody is to care for somebody or to be in control of somebody.
Controlling right? Care. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if somebody's in a hospital, like you're under the custody of the doctor and the nurses, basically.
Yes.
If you're in prison, you're under the custody of the police. And maybe for kids, like people, if their parents get divorced, maybe the mum gets custody of the kids and they don't live with the dad anymore or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. Disqualify.
To be not allowed to do something anymore, to prevent it from taking part in something. You'll hear it like in sports a lot. A team will get disqualified from a competition because they didn't follow the rules or, something like that. Yeah, so they don't follow the rules, so they're not allowed to take part in something. So if he's disqualified from driving, he didn't follow the rules, so he's no longer allowed to take part in driving.
Eric Cantona was disqualified from playing.
Yeah.
Suspended.
I would say that's banned or suspended, isn't it? But I think more a team. Like in the Olympics, maybe you get disqualified from the Olympics for like doping, for example.
Russia's athletes are not allowed to use the flag, are they? And a bunch of them were disqualified for doping or some drug at some point. Yeah.
So I mean, it happens specifically in, I would guess, things like chess tournaments. You're because I know you're into chess. Like if you're in a tournament and you cheat, you're likely to get disqualified from the whole tournament.
Doping.
Yeah, I mean, crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. There's been a few instances of that recently, in the last few years. Or disqualified, most commonly, sporting reference would be F1, wouldn't it? So...
yeah. Like they didn't follow the rules, so they get disqualified.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. To plead for something.
So this is very much a word,
just pleading,
similar to beg, I would imagine. But like you're pleading with somebody, don't do that thing. Like you're begging them. But when in the court of law, it's like a formal way of saying I'm guilty or I'm not guilty. I plead guilty. I plead not guilty. So. Yeah, that's the meaning in this case.
Sure. And then fiscal.
Fiscal. So I had to look this up because my instinct was related to money, like a fiscal year, a fiscal department in a company, right? But I think it's probably still related to money in this case, like related to fines or something. But I would imagine in this case, because of the word, the depute that went after it, there's probably a combination meaning somebody that like represents you in court.
Yeah.
Like they speak on your behalf to the prosecutor or something like that.
So maybe in this case, the guy couldn't afford a lawyer. Would it be in that case?
That's what I thought. Yeah, like a state appointed lawyer or something.
Yeah, that would make most sense, I think, in this case.
Because the money side of it is like he can't afford a lawyer, so it's like free, and the depute they're like talking on his behalf in the court.
Yeah.
So maybe they're not an official lawyer, they're just somebody there that's talking on his behalf.
Sure, that makes sense. And last one, probably one of the most important ones for this article is intake.
Yeah. To take something and put it in. Intake. So I'm guessing in this case, the amount of vodka he drinks or something.
Yeah, you can use it in many forms, but the intake of food or drink, or you could also use it for money intake in a business.
Yeah. Or like schools as well, they have an intake of students every year, and
sometimes we even reduce it just down to take in terms of business. We say how much. What was the take today?
What was the take? Yeah.
So that's
interesting.
Okay, let's finish off with a quiz, So for this, one of us will read the question to you, one of us will read the potential answers, and then you're going to have a guess. With the vocabulary that we have learned today, can you guess the correct answer? There's 4 questions, and we're going to fire through. So here is the first sentence for you. The bomb threat was later revealed to be causing unnecessary panic among the public. What are the possible answers, Dan?
We've got A, conviction, B, hoax, C, intake, or D, guilty.
Okay, have a guess. We'll give you 5 seconds. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. And the answer is, for this one, hoax. The bomb threat was later revealed to be a hoax. Question 2, Dan.
So, number 2, the emergency situation... officials to evacuate the building immediately. Stu, what are the options?
Possibly A, disqualify, B, prompt, C, contribute, D, spare. Okay, so 5 seconds for you. Here we go. What's the answer, Dan?
The answer is prompt. So the emergency situation prompted, I guess it would be, officials to evacuate the building immediately.
A nice little practice on the verb for that one, yeah? It's verb change.
Prompted from last time.
Did. Yeah, exactly. Okay, question 3. The government implemented new regulations to air pollution in the city. What potential answers do we have, Dan?
So we've got mitigate, custody, advocate, and concede.
Okay, 5 seconds. Here we go. And the answer is mitigate. The government implemented new regulations to mitigate air pollution in the city. And the last one, Dan.
He has a previous for theft, which affected his chances of getting the job. What we got, Stu?
Potentially it could be A, disqualify, B, conviction, C, intake, and D, excess. So, 5 seconds. Here we go. And the answer, Dan?
Conviction. So he has a previous conviction for theft, which affected his chances of getting the job.
There we go. Okay, how many did you get right? Did you get all 4? Tell us in the comments. And for this week's episode, that's it. So thank you very much for joining us again. Thank you for Dan for being here.
You're welcome, mate. Cheers for having me.
No worries. And we will speak to you again soon. Okay, so we'll say, see you.
See you there.
Ciao, ciao.